Welcome to Cutting Edge Web Content Development, the podcast where we delve into the world of CMS systems and their crucial role in website and web content development. In each episode, we'll explore the reasons why founders, CEOs, CTOs, and CMOs of web content development companies need CMS systems to thrive in the digital landscape. Get ready to uncover the secrets behind successful website management, content creation, and seamless user experiences. Here's your host, Jonathan Ames.
Welcome to Cutting Edge Web Content Development, a podcast by ButterCMS. Today, I'm excited to welcome Jephonie Villegas, the head of SEO at My Biz Niche. Welcome, Jephonie.
Thank you, Jonathan. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah. Jephonie right now is finishing her day and Saturday morning because of where she's at. I'm really thankful that she jumped in to talk to us. Tell us a little bit about how you got into SEO and maybe some of your favorite projects that you've worked on over the years.
Okay. Well, fun story. My major was actually Bachelor of Science in Nursing. So my father wanted me to be a
parents
nurse.
Must have cried. They were like, no, you left medical to go into marketing?
We didn't get a ROI for your tuition fee and everything. Yeah. So that was my major. But then I already excelled in English in school. I loved working, English writing, everything. So my first gig in the online world was a writer. I was a content writer. And then Upwork was still Odesk at that time. That was a long time ago. I got scammed the first time. Yeah. I wrote stuff for someone and then they didn't pay me. But that didn't break my spirit, really. I just, continued doing what I loved because I loved writing. So content writing, and then I came across an e-commerce company in New Jersey, and they were looking for a content writer. So my job was to create product listings, all those things, coupled with keyword research. So that was my first introduction to SEO. And after 3 years as a content writer, I became a content manager. So that's the time I was able to have a team of writers. And, that opportunities were coming in. And so, from content writing, I just basically upscaled. I learned in-depth keyword research, analytics, and all those things. Some of my favorite projects would be, I don't want to name them, but I'm not going to name drop the companies, but I love working with small to medium-sized e-commerce websites with blogs. I love it, especially when the owners would give me creative freedom, and then I'll create the processes, the templates for the content. I love it. I love it so much. Yeah. So
What are some of, if you are free to share some, what are some of your favorite projects that you worked on as far as, blogs for e-commerce sites? That's interesting niche.
Yes. I had a chance to work with media kits, or we call it a PR media kit. So we create, in the content team, we create a brochure, a PDF file, and then it introduces the company, the products, and the unique selling propositions of the company. And then we email it to various businesses who want to collaborate with us. So every time someone would read this little PDF that I created, and then they want to collaborate with us, that's it's a confirmation for me, an affirmation, oh, I did something great. I presented the company in good light. So it's I love working with those brochures, catalogs. Yeah, it's already borderline design, right? Because you have to collaborate with designers as well as your team of writers. So those things I like working with. Yeah, those stuff.
Were you doing that to build backlinks, collaborate that way, or was it something where it was posting and reposting the content, or?
Yeah, it's multi-purpose. So in the media kit, we offer packages for collaboration as well. Like, for instance, like a tier 1 collaboration would cost $5,000. We will give them like a shout out on our social media, an article on our website. So there are packages. So it's revenue for the business and backlinks as well. So yeah, it's a different approach, because the company I worked with, he wanted to really leverage the power of the content team. So aside from writing blogs where we get ads, Amazon affiliates, yeah, we were also involved in marketing. So it's such a small team. And then I had to wear a lot of hats just to, help the company grow, increase revenue.
One of the things that interested me, you're interested in talking about this idea of SEO and user experience and how those two fit together. And I know this is a topic I think is really critical, because I think when a lot of business people who are not familiar with SEO think SEO, they think drive traffic, bring traffic to the site. That's your job with SEO writing. And certainly you can do that. But what happens once they get there and they click on your link, you're successful in bringing them to your site? What is the experience? And so, yeah, maybe talk about that. How does that strategy evolve for you, and how do you see it being implemented?
Okay. Well, I wanted to talk about user experience and SEO today, because I'm currently working at a digital marketing agency where I always collaborate with the developers on a daily basis. So developers and designers on a daily basis. So when you said that, when they hear SEO, like business owners, when they hear SEO and they think, okay, drive traffic. I wish all business owners think that way. Unfortunately, in real life, they don't. Like, when we get clients that want to build a website, SEO doesn't come to mind for them. Some of them, they don't like it because they think it's like, borderline. It's like a gray area for them. Like, am I paying Google money? So they don't understand like the concept of SEO. So, some people think that SEO is a scam. There are people who think that way. So, I mean, yeah. Well, from the start of an a project, like a website project, there's a discovery call, right? Where the sales team in the agency would talk to the client, figure out what their business is, and talk about, they ask a lot of questions about the business. And then after that, the web team or the developers, they create like a plan, an initial plan of what they will do with the website, what pages to build, what it would look like, what colors should be there. Do they need a new logo or not? So the start of the project, like, we're not even involved. So that's the sad thing. Because for me, if you have like a good looking website, but you're not targeting the right keywords, I mean, it's not optimized for search engines, like it's pointless. No one would stay on your website, right? Like to read what's there, or to click something to purchase whatever you have to offer if there's no SEO, or you're not paying attention to SEO. So during that initial plan, they have the pages that they're going to build. They figured that out. At the agency, we have a kickoff call. And then that's the time I join the call. So the web developers, they present the plan to me. And then that's where I tell them that we need keyword research for the website, right? Keyword research. And then the SEO team should create a sitemap for the website, because it's not enough, like, to make it look good. Like, these are the pages that I want. You have to figure out, like, there's an art, even a science to it. Like, the menus on your website should have a logical hierarchy. The labels should be SEO friendly. People are actually searching for that term. You're not just using random words that you say on a daily basis. Like, you have to check data. How many people search for this? Okay, I'd rather use this term, for example, garage door repair, than another word that you are used to using. So we create a sitemap, and then we also make sure that in 1 to in 2 or 3 clicks, the person on your website already reached the destination or the page that they want to see. So you shouldn't be burying menus, like some websites, like you're like, I just want to read this, but I can't find it because there's like a lot of drop downs. So that's part of, SEO's job, to make sure user experience is top notch. Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. I know one of the things you mentioned there was like using keywords in the main navigation. This is something I have experience with. A lot of business users have a hard time putting the keywords in there. Like, for instance, in your breadcrumbs, your top breadcrumb page typically is going to be one of your top keywords. But the problem is usually they want something that's they don't want a word that's generic sounding, even though you're going after that. They want some word that sounds, exciting or hip or something like that.
Yeah.
So they want to replace it with something else. But sometimes, that approach, while it may be interesting looking, like you said, makes it difficult for people to navigate, which is the worst crime ever, is when you spend all that time and work and money bringing people to your site and then they can't find what they want and they leave.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Really good points. So, okay, what are the strategies that you use to try to make sure that there's a good balance then between user experience and SEO?
Well, when the project is onboarded, it starts in the web development, right? So I've already given them like directions for like keyword research. Here is the sitemap, etc. So they work their magic on their end. So at the agency, like there's phases. So web development, and then once that is done, the website is launched, and the client was convinced that SEO is actually good, they will sign an SEO retainer. So that's the time where I can perform all the things that I need to balance the design, the pretty website that they created, and then SEO. So during our process, or my team's process, we have what we call a technical audit and a user experience and conversion rate optimization audit. So we perform these 2 major things. So
both at the same time, CRO audit and a SEO audit. Oh, very interesting.
Yeah, not really at the same time, but once technical audit is done, we do the UX and the CRO audit. Yeah, but it's very essential, like in my opinion. The technical audit, well, there's a pretty website that we created for the client, but then the developers, they would sometimes miss broken links. There are broken links, images that are too large, that is difficult for the site to load, videos that should be compressed, indexing issues. So there are these things that, it's not the fault of the developers. And that's why okay, never mind. So there's that. So then we are like the quality assurance checkers. Like we clean up those things during the technical audit. So broken links, we fix them because it affects user experience. Like how many times have you visited the site? And then you're excited to read the content, right? And then you click it and then it's like 404 page not found. And then you're like, oh gosh, I'm disappointed. I'm going to go back to SERP, find another page that answers my question. So this is frustrating. Technical issues like broken pages, slow page speed, these affects your rankings in Google. So Google will be like, oh, your site has a lot of issues. I'm going to put you on the page 2 of Google. So, Google's algorithm is like anonymized. Like we don't know how it actually works, but they have best practices. And then that's what SEO follows. So that's what's happening in a technical audit. Okay. And then the user experience and CRO audit, my team assesses, the consistency of the pages, even the design. So we look at are the colors okay? Is the contrast between the text and the background good? Are we able to read the text? Because sometimes the developers, this goes over their head. Like, I'm just going to design a page. But you as a reader, you're like, why is this so hard to read? The background and the text is like almost the same color. My gosh. So we audit this and then we suggest, we work with the devs. We tell them Could you, increase the contrast of the text? So those things. Layout of the page. Are the CTA buttons placed correctly? Are they above the fold? In mobile and desktop view, when the potential customer visits the page, do they know where to go? If they're going to book your service, is the CTA button there? Is it visible? Is the contact information visible? So those things, well, people might argue like it's not really part of like SEO, but I included it in our process because, I think it's essential. All those things, yeah, we often overlook them because we're too focused on technical stuff. But my gosh, user experience is equally important, right?
Yeah, even Google has said that certain aspects of user experience are actually part of their ranking algorithm. Page speed is one of those ranking. So images that are too large or videos that are not compressed will affect that. Other things like in the US, they have the ADA, or Americans with Disabilities Act, which translated into the web just means things need to be accessible, easy for people to read. So those kind of accessibility things, Google actually does take that into account. But your text is not high enough contrast, it can ding you for that. So yeah, UX, one, it's better from a conversion standpoint. Two, it's good even for an SEO standpoint. And those aspects you were talking about there. So you put in place this project, you do your audit, your technical audit for SEO, you do your CRO audit for usability, user experience. So now it's come to the point where you're starting to measure the results of this. SEO, most people are pretty familiar. If I'm ranking high, if I'm getting traffic, maybe those are the measurements they look at to judge success. What about with user experience? What kind of metrics do you use to tell this is successful or we need to do more or things like that?
Well, I look at the engagement or like the session duration. So in analytics, I also look at like aside from organic traffic, right? It's already a given, right? So I look at, average session duration or how long a person stays on the website. And I also look at the bounce rate because the bounce rate is a good indicator of a poor user experience. So high bounce rate means like a person visits your site and only looked at one page, then left. So if you have a high bounce rate, you have to assess your site. Like, is it about your user experience? Is it user friendly? Or are they having difficulties navigating your site? Or it could be that your content is not engaging. They can't find what they're looking for. So those are good indicators. As well as conversion. Okay, so if you're running like a website that caters to a community, so let's say it's a local business somewhere in Arizona, example. So conversion is what drives. That's what the client looks at when they see our reports, monthly reports. Like, how is my conversion rate? So how many people clicked their contact button, filled out a form, click the call button. So these are also good indicators because even if a potential customer goes to your website and they cannot find easily how to contact you, then that's a loss in conversion or like a potential customer lost. So all these things, like you have to assess them, but it's not like gonna tell you, okay, your menu sucks. Unfortunately, it's not like that, but it's a good indicator. And other people, they would use heat maps. So there are like heat mapping softwares that you can assess like which part of your site, has like a lot of activity. So I think that's a good way to find out what are your weaknesses and strengths.
Good points. So let's say, clients, I'm sure, ask you this question. Once you start, looking at those things like bounce rates, time on site, they may probably ask you things like, well, what's a good time on site? What's a good bounce rate? Do you feel like there is an answer to that, or is it really just depend for every site?
Yeah, there is like a standardized answer for that. So like a good session duration would be above 1 minute. 1 minute and 30 seconds is like the average. I know it's people would say 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, someone spends on your site. That's like actually in my experience, that's difficult to reach. and you are happy with like 1 minute and 30 seconds, that is already like, okay, that's good. That's fine. So when it comes to bounce rate, well, a healthy bounce rate would be like 60%, 50 to 60%. Well, that's already good. So bounce rate is also a good indicator if you want to know if all the visitors in your site are legit or spam. So if you look at a page and then it says like 99% bounce rate, duration time 1 second. Oh, we had that. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, one of our clients, like for a single page, their traffic jumped for like 1,000 users, new users. And then when I looked at like, analytics, and then it's like one person spent like an average of 1 second and then left. So like, why are we being attacked? So I had probably a competitor. So it's like, oh gosh, yeah, those things. They do happen. Yeah.
They do happen. In fact, I've just on our own site traffic, we found an anomaly a few weeks ago where all this new traffic came in. So just over a week period, we saw a big jump in traffic. And just like you said, 1 second, they were all under a second. I was like, yeah, this is bots. What is this? And I looked back to the referring URL, and they were all going for this site that it's like they get you to pay to bring traffic to your site to raise the number of visitors. And I was like, who is sending this to our site?
Gosh. Yeah.
So yeah, it's you do have to watch out. There are anomalies like that will throw off your metrics if you're not careful. But yeah, there's good numbers there to look at. A lot of people are like, wow, 60%. Well, why so much? And then you just have to understand lots of people out there, they don't find what they want right away, or they're just going there, navigate, find a quick answer, and they're out of there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that brings down, you've got a lot of other people who maybe spend 10, 15 minutes on your site, but those two average together. And so yeah.
Yeah.
Good
maybe,
points.
they landed on your website. They're convinced that they needed your service because you had a good headline, whatever. Then they would click contact us, and then they're gone. So it's a conversion, but then even though they spent like just a few seconds on your site. So I mean, right? It would depend. Yeah. So
yeah. Well, all right, let's switch to tactical now. What are some good tactics that if someone out there is wanting to look at the SEO alongside the user experience of their site, that you would recommend for them to think about?
Oh, definitely invest in high quality content and couple that with good visual elements on your page. So if you want to create landing pages, let's say service pages, if you're like a plumbing business, for example, so you have to have a good writing team that's able to create, keyword optimized content, and then create a template for your page, or like have a very talented developer or a designer. Make sure to follow all the best practices. So above the fold, I would recommend above the fold of the page to have the form, so they can easily contact you with a very eye-catching headline that a good writer can provide. And of course, do not forget about your page title, your meta description, because in SERP, no one knows what your site looks like, but a very catchy and optimized title and meta description would convince anyone to click on your site. So if they click your site and then see that, okay, it looks good, it loads fast, I want to contact this business. I want a quote, or I want to book a consultation or something. So they can easily do that. So invest in high quality content, keyword optimization, visual elements on your site. Do not forget about the page speed. So when it comes to technical stuff, page speed and mobile responsiveness is what I would say, because I just checked the statistics for mobile users versus desktop. In 2022, it's like people will use mobile like 56%, 59%, 56%. Yeah. Or, the traffic comes from mobile devices, and then desktop is around 39%. And the rest of the percentage will come from smart devices like your TV. I don't know if you've tried browsing using your TV. I have done it. It's difficult, but it works. Yeah. So mobile responsiveness, making sure that your pages appear consistent no matter what kind of device a person is using. So all those things. And I have an experience where, okay, the SEO team, we added, okay, this is a lawyer website, okay, a DUI lawyer website. So we added 2 landing pages or 2 service pages for the website. We asked the developer to add these pages to the menu. Okay. The developer added it to the desktop menu, but didn't add it in the mobile menu. So this is, this is pointless because, I mean, people using mobile phones all the time, so they won't be able to find those services. So you have to be careful with that. Those things I would suggest. Strategies.
Doing a quick check, make sure, little things like broken links, lack of links in a mobile environment. Yeah, small things, but it could really hammer your conversion rates. If somebody can't find a menu item or it doesn't exist in their format, like in mobile. You mentioned something else. You said, good content, invest in good content, which really largely is going to depend on a good content writer. How can people tell who maybe aren't writers, but have to hire a writer, what a good content writer looks like? What are the criteria that they need to use to evaluate and find good writers?
Oh gosh, it's very difficult to find a good writer. These days, maybe people would argue with me because there's AI. Everyone can just use AI and just edit or whatever. But a good writer, I would say, should know your brand, should understand your brand and your audience. So it's very important. Like content writing is almost like psychology. Like there are archetypes for brands that we can study. There are guides online. Like you have to understand like the tone and the branding of a business. So this is very tricky, especially in an agency where you have to work with multiple clients at the same time. Writers have to work with multiple clients at the same time. Maximum would be, let's say, around 30 plus businesses or like websites. Yeah, that's a lot.
You got to keep all that straight in your mind. Like this brand is this, is the other thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So like documentations, like a project start. We have a project start document. Like you can go back, review what the client is about, what their target audience is. So it's like a form that they fill out. So those are helpful in remembering things. So a good writer should like get how to speak your brand, know how to talk to your audience, right? So I would suggest all business owners to give very precise directions when talking to a writer. Okay. It's not actually helpful when you say, when I ask, what type of tone or like delivery do you want like for the writers? And then the business owner would say, professional. You're like, this is so broad, it's so vague. You know what I mean? Like it would help us like to establish a brand. Like what, do you want the copy to be a little humorous or like a goofy? Because I mean, it depends on your branding, but you can say these things. The more adjectives you provide, the more it will help the writer figure out. So I mean, it's already given. Like content should flow. I mean, engaging for you. They should get you like from the first sentence. Like you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna read more because this is good. Yeah, good opening. Yeah. Sometimes it falls like in a subjective point of view. I mean, some people would argue with me like a writer. I had an experience working with a writer, and then I wasn't happy with their output. It's like bland and like copied and pasted from ChatGPT. So I talked to the writer and I was like, could you make this like, more engaging? Like, I mean, you have to understand what the business is, the brand. And she was like, well, a good copy is subjective. So this is good for me and it might not be good for you, but I mean, and I'm like, what? No. Yes. So you have to deal with those kinds of like, issues at work. But I would suggest, those things that I mentioned. So someone who understands and speak your brand. Yeah.
That's great advice. Speaking of, communication, if you could go back in time and communicate with yourself at the very beginning of your career, what have you learned now that you wish you would have known then that you would tell yourself?
Oh, well, I would probably tell my, you know what? As I have no, like, okay, right now, like I have no regrets in my journey. Like, even if, it took a while for me like to transition into like the head of SEO or whatever, but I wouldn't change anything because of my experience like in content management. Like I have an edge because other SEO specialists, they would only talk about technical SEO. They don't really understand like, those user experience, which you can only gain that knowledge when you know content. So that part, but I would probably tell myself, know your worth, know your worth. Do not settle for a horrible work culture.
Oh, such good advice. Yes. And usually it's the young who put up with that because one, you don't have a lot of experience. And so you're like, is this just the way work has to be? And two, you don't have a lot of experience. So you're like, maybe I need this experience so I can get on to the next thing. So yeah, great personal advice there.
Yeah.
Don't put up with a toxic work environment. Get something better.
Do not, know your worth. Like you're needed. I mean, you offer so much more, and there is someone there who will know your worth and value you. Lots of employers are like that. So you just have to find them. Yeah.
Excellent advice. Well, Jephonie, if people want to connect with you online, where can they find you? How can they connect?
Okay. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. So I'm there. Just look for me, Jephonie Villegas, linkedin.com. I'm there. If you want to connect, want to talk about strategies. Yeah. I mean, no free advice, but you can connect
you got your
with
free
me.
advice already.
Yes. Agreed.
Well, I appreciate your time, especially really like the advice on trying to find good writers and what makes a good writer. I think there's so many people who have to hire writers who have no idea what makes a good writer. They're just like, go get a good writer. And you're like, so yeah, really appreciate that. And also the perspectives on user experience and SEO coming together there and some of the tips you gave. Really great. Thank you so much, Jephonie.
Oh gosh, thank you so much, Jonathan. I really enjoyed, this interview with you. And I hope you have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Cutting Edge Web Content Development is brought to you by ButterCMS. To find out how you can build better with Butter, stop wasting dev time and free your marketers from your legacy CMS, visit ButterCMS.com. Also, make sure to search for Cutting Edge Web Content Development in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Make sure to click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. On behalf of the team here at ButterCMS, thank you for listening.